Assalamualaikum and hi to Doctor and my fellow friends. So I will do a reflection on Chapter 7, which is Implementing Strategies, Management and Operations issue. The nature of strategy implementation. Strategy formulation is positioning forces before the action, while strategy implementation is managing forces during the action. Strategy formulation focuses on effectiveness, while strategy implementation focuses on efficiency. Next, strategy formulation is primarily an intellectual process, and strategy implementation is primarily an operational process. Strategy formulation requires good intuitive and analytical skills, while strategy implementation requires special motivation and leadership skills. So here, there are some management issues central to strategy implementation, like establish annual objective, devise policies, allocate resources, alter an existing organizational structure, restructure and re-engineering, revise reward and incentive plan, minimize resistance to change, match managers with strategy, develop a strategy supportive culture, adapt production or operation process, develop an effective human resource function, downsize a furlough as needed, and also link performance and pay to strategy. Next, annual objective. What is annual objective? It represents the basis for allocating resources. Annual objectives are primary mechanism for evaluating managers. It also the major instrument for monitoring progress toward achieving long-term objectives. Annual objective also establish organizational, divisional and also departmental priorities. Policies. Policy-specific guideline, methods, procedures, rules, forms and administrative practice established to support and encourage work towards these goals. Policy is the instrument for strategy implementation. Policies set boundaries, constraints and limits on the kind of administrative action that can be taken to reward and sanction behavior. It clarifies what can do and cannot be done in pursuit of an organization's objective. Resource allocation. Resource allocation is the central management activity that allows for strategy execution. It often based on political or personal factors. Strategic management enables resources to be allocated according to priorities established by the annual objective. So here there are 4 types of resources: financial, physical, human and technological. Next, managing conflicts. Conflict is a disagreement between two or more parties on one or more issues. Establishing annual objective can lead to conflict because individuals have a different expectation and perceptions, schedule creates pressure, personalities are incompatible, and also the misunderstanding occurs between line managers and staff managers. So there are 3 ways to solve the conflict occurs, which is first of all avoidance, diffusion, and lastly is confrontation. Avoidance includes such action as ignoring the problem in hopes that the conflict will resolve itself or physically separating the conflicting individuals. Next, diffusion. Diffusion includes playing down difference between conflicting parties while accentuating similarities and common interests. The lastly is confrontation. Confrontation exemplified by exchanging members of conflicting parties so that each can gain an appreciation of each other's point of view, or holding a meeting at which conflicting parties present their views and work through their difference. Okay, next, there are some structure that can be matched with these strategies: functional structure, divisional structure, SBU structure, and also matrix structure. Functional structure is a group tasks and activities by business functions such as production or operation, marketing, finance or accounting, research and development, and also MIS, Management Information System. So here is the example of chart functional structure. There are some advantages and disadvantages of a functional organizational structure. For the advantages side, it is simple and inexpensive, capitalize on specialization of business activities such as marketing and finance, minimize needs for elaborate control system, and also allows for rapid decision making. While for the disadvantageous side, the accountability forced to the top, delegation of authority and responsibility is not encouraged. It's minimize career development, low employee or manager morale, inadequate planning for product and markets, lead to short-term narrow thinking, and the lastly is lead to communication problem. Okay, the next structure is divisional structure. Divisional structure, functional activities are performed both centrally and in each separate division. It usually includes the geographic area, product or service, customer, and also process. The advantages for this divisional organizational structure is the accountability is clear, allows local control of local situations, creates career development chance, promotes delegation of authority, leads to competitive climates internally, allows easy adding of new product or regions, and lastly is allows strict control and attention to products, customer or regions. So the disadvantages for this organizational structure is it can be costly, duplication of functional activities, requires a skill management forces, requires an elaborate control system, competition among divisions can become so intense as to be dysfunctional. It can lead to limited sharing of ideas and resources. And lastly is some regions, product, customer may receive special treatments. The next structure is SBU structure. SBU structure or the Strategic Business Unit structure is a group similar division into strategic business unit and delegate authority and responsibility for each to a senior executive who reports directly to the chief executive officer. SBU structure can facilitate strategy implementation by improving coordination between similar divisions and channeling accountability to distinct business units. The last structure is the matrix structure. Matrix structure is the most complex of all design because it depends upon both vertical and horizontal flows of authority and communication. For a matrix structure to be effective, organizations need to participate planning, training, clear mutual understanding of role and responsibilities, excellent internal communication, and mutual trust and confidence. So there are also some advantages and disadvantages of the. So for this matrix structure, there are also have some advantages and the disadvantages. For the advantages, the project objectives are clear. Employee can clearly see result of their work. Shutting down a project is easily accomplished. Facilitate users of special equipment, personnel or facilities, and lastly is functional resources are shared instead of duplicated as in divisional structure. The disadvantages of this structure is it requires excellent vertical and horizontal flows of communication, costly because creates more manager positions, violates unity of command principle, creates dual line of budget authority, create dual source of rewards or punishment, create share authority and reporting, and lastly is require mutual trust and understanding. Okay, next, there are some strategy which managing resistance to change. Forced change strategy, educative change strategy, and lastly is self-interest change strategy. Forced change strategy involves giving order and enforcing those order. Educative change strategy, one that presents information to convince people of the needs to change. And lastly is self-interest change strategy. It is one that attempts to convince individuals that change is to their personal advantage. Okay, that is all from me. Thank you, Doctor.